Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid-back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans. The Kings win tonight, 122-117 over the Houston Rockets. That's right, it is April Fool's, but Kings win tonight. De'Aaron Fox does not play. Harrison Barnes steals the show with 25 points, and Dante DiVincenzo goes for an almost triple-double. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to smash that like button. And if you would like to join the Royal family with Calvin, Vinny, and I, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well.
All right, thanks for joining us, everybody, on this April Fool's Day. But the Kings were no joke today. They get the win over the Houston Rockets, 122-117. Like Barry said, time for a nightcap.
If you're listening via your favorite podcast platform, we would appreciate a 5-star rating. And if you would like to be a part of the show, you can always join us live after every single Kings game here on YouTube. We will be right back with your Kings Nightcap. What up, everybody? Welcome back. That's right. Kings win tonight. And as Calvin said, it is no joke on April Fool's Day. Kings do win, which feels great. I want to give a shout out to everybody here in the chat. Mike, I see you. Gothen, Matthew, welcome, everybody. And also, I want to remind you all before we start the show today that support for Royal Rebounds is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and worldwide free shipping with the code Royal Family. That's right, Royal Family, all capitals, one word. You can use it at manscaped.com. And if my math is correct, Calvin, that's about 8 million balls.
That's right. Take care of your sacks so you can root for the sacks.
All right, so Kings win tonight. I'm feeling pretty good, Calvin. I know it's the Rockets, but 2 in a row, baby.
Yeah, it's nice to see a win. I will say that. And it's nice to see some of these young guys play really well. But it's like I said at the end of last show and last game, this is 2 bad teams without a lot of their best players grinding it out at the end of a season in a meaningless game. But we're still here because we love the team and we love to watch basketball. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm actually staring at the standings here, Calvin. I know
Barry has been on this play-in kick since before we got on the air. He thinks they're making it.
I got some hope. I didn't say that, Calvin, but they are still alive. They are not officially eliminated. Unfortunately, the Spurs win today, but they were playing the Blazers, so there's not really much of a choice there. Clippers win in an extraordinary fashion, 153 points against the Giannis-less Bucks. And the Lakers are currently up 6 against the Pelicans.
Yep, that's a big game.
So we will see how this
and implications
all shakes out. But as of right now, the Kings are 3 wins behind the San Antonio Spurs for the 10th spot. Heard it here first. What's up, Fred? All right, Calvin, first thoughts on the game tonight.
Kings got out to a really slow start in this game. It looked pretty bad early on. They were down by as many as 19, and you're kind of thinking at that point, all right, this is officially the end of it, end of the season here. They're going to just ride off into the sunset in the wrong direction. But they came back with a huge second quarter. The zone defense in that second quarter was a great tool to use. It helped them get back into the game. They gave up 41 points in the first quarter. I think just 20 or maybe 21 or something like that in the second quarter. Got themselves back into it, and then they used a big run late in the game. Dante DiVincenzo hitting a bunch of really clutch shots. Damian Jones with some huge blocks down the stretch. Those guys all played great. Metu was great off the bench as well, and the Kings get the win.
Yeah, Kings do get a win. It feels really good, and I love you guys here in the chat. You guys are too funny. I just got to bring it up, Calvin, that whenever I seem to talk bad about somebody or throw some shade, they just shut me up, and that would be Harrison Barnes tonight. As many of you guys know, and if you don't know, you should go check it out. I was on Locked On Kings yesterday talking with Matt George, and I was maybe suggesting the trading of Harrison Barnes. Maybe Harrison heard me because he came back with 25 big points tonight. But if you guys haven't heard that, make sure you go check that out. We like to support every Kings podcast here, so go check out Matt George, check out Locked On Kings, and let me know how you thought I did in that little interview. All right, Calvin. So, as I mentioned, Harrison Barnes had a great game tonight. 4 of 6 from three-point range, 10 of 16 from the field, 25 points. You know, you and I have been critical of him recently. He seems to have disappeared at certain points. He was here tonight playing against one of the worst teams in the league, but Harrison Barnes showed up.
He did show up. I wouldn't say I've been that critical of him lately. Certainly since the All-Star break, I felt like he definitely, kind of got some of that mojo back that he had in the beginning of the season when he was just on fire. For me, when it is referring to Harrison Barnes, it always comes down to how the Kings play as a team offensively. He's not the guy that you give the ball and you say, go get us 20 points. He's a product of the system. And Today I thought they used that much better. They shared the ball better than they did in the previous game against the Rockets. They had almost 30 assists tonight. Harrison was cutting early on, frequently into the paint. They were finding him, getting him easy shots around the rim. And then he was able to hit his first three, and from there, the rest is history, basically. But he has to kind of get into his rhythm, into his flow within the game, within the offense. And I thought the Kings did a much better job of that today. Davion, he struggled shooting mightily, but he was able to get guys the ball in the position to score. He had 10 assists today, and Harrison was the recipient of a lot of those.
Ray, I love the enthusiasm here in the chat, man. It's still possible. What did I say a couple weeks ago? I was like, the Kings are out of it. It's over. It's done. And, I do feel that way, and maybe part of me says that or feels that way because I don't want my feelings to get even further hurt. But, hey, they're still in it, man. There's a chance here. There is. And, Gothan, I appreciate all the kind words from you, so thank you so much. All right, outside of Harrison Barnes, not too much going on in the starting lineup tonight other than Damian Jones having an amazing game, 17 rebounds, 17 points, 6 blocks for him. But, Calvin, I don't want to steal your thunder, so let's go over the whole box score here.
Let's do it. The Kings shot tremendously well today, which was a big difference maker for them. 52% from the field and 43% from three. We all know if the Kings are hitting outside shots, they're a much different team. Even despite how badly they can play on defense at times, they are much more difficult to beat when they're hitting their outside shots. And today they were able to do that. You look at all these guys. DiVincenzo was 3 of 6 from three. Metu 2 of 4. Harrison Barnes 4 of 6. So they were really effective there. But for me, it was about the bench today. The starters definitely came to play. Damian Jones had one of his best, maybe his best game of the whole season. Harrison Barnes was great. But Metu and DiVincenzo, and even just Josh Jackson with 11 points off the bench, those are performances that you don't typically get out of these guys. DiVincenzo, as you mentioned, almost a triple-double, 19 points. This would probably, in my opinion, be his best game as a King so far.
Yeah.
And Metu was really, really big as well with another double-double. So getting those extra performances or those step-up performances from the bench players made the difference in this game for me.
Yeah, it definitely did. And, I also want to highlight DiVincenzo with 3 steals and 2 blocks in this game, too, and a plus 15 on the night. I know you're not a big fan of that, Calvin, but the dude has been posting negative numbers even in Kings wins. So plus 15 for DiVincenzo. Got to give him a shout-out. And, 50% from the field and three-point range. So I love to see that as well. It's funny, we talked about on, I think it was either the last podcast or the podcast before, on who we'd rather have, whether it's Jones or Metu. both of them showed out tonight. 18 points for Metu, 17 for Jones. They both got a ton of rebounds. Like, they did all the rebounding for this team other than DiVincenzo. Are you still kind of in the same boat with you'd rather keep Jones?
I am still in the same boat. I still really, really like Metu's game. I think the guy has a lot of potential, and he shows flashes out there. You saw a few of them today.
That spin move.
He's incredibly athletic, really good footwork. I mean, if he puts it all together, he could be a very, very fine player. But I think Damian Jones' time is coming. The guy has been steadily playing better and better. He is a rim protector. That's something that we've talked a lot about the Kings needing. So I still would rather, if I had to pick between the two of them, I would rather take Damian Jones next season than Metu. I do like both of their games, though. But for me, it all depends on who is the day one starting power forward for this team next year. That's going to determine a lot of how the rest of the roster shakes out.
Yeah, I agree. No Keita again tonight, no Mo Harkless. Any thoughts on those guys?
Well, Harkless, he's dealt with injuries all year, and I think they've probably come to a mutual decision that it's just in the team's best interest and his to just kind of shut him down. So I'm definitely not surprised to see him play. When it comes to Keita, I'm not really sure. I would like to see him get some minutes. I think that this is an opportune time for guys like that to get some playing time. He could definitely be used, and you kind of have to figure out what you've got with him. But it is what it is. He just hasn't cracked the lineup. Houston is a small team, so maybe Alex Len only played 4 minutes tonight. Not the greatest matchup, I think, in this particular game, but they're thin at center right now. I don't know. It's just a game-by-game thing, I think, for him.
Yeah, I know a lot of Kings fans would really love to see Keita out there for, some more action, more minutes, and I'm in the same boat, but at the same time, Kings win tonight, and I got to be happy about that. I want to give a shout-out to Priest here, Kings fan since 1968. That is awesome, man. That's 20 years longer than I've been alive. So that's pretty cool. Gothan 88, same as me, buddy. That is awesome. That is really, really cool. Anybody you want to highlight on the Rockets?
The Rockets, it's all about two guys for them. It's Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. Green had 32 in the first matchup a couple days ago or 3 days ago. He had 33 today. Kevin Porter Jr. with another stats sheet stuffing game, 27 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds. These are the guys that steer the pot or drive the machine, the engine for this team right now, especially with all the guys that they're not playing. Christian Wood and Dennis Schroeder and Eric Gordon, all these guys. So at this point, the Rockets are even more, release the floodgates of just let these young guys go out there and run and play. And they produce a lot of highlight plays. It doesn't result in a lot of wins, unfortunately, for them.
Gothan, I've been a fan since I was born. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. I'll send you some
Way to
pictures.
call him out, Gothan. I like that.
I'll send you some pictures, man. I got pictures as a baby in Kings gear. I do. King of the night.
Ooh, man, I actually hadn't even thought about this yet. That's tough.
It is a tough one.
It's a tough one today.
I know who my king of the night is.
I'm probably gonna go with Damian Jones.
You got it.
Although part of me wants to pick Harrison Barnes just because you were super critical of him and then he came out and had a great game. But yeah, Damian Jones for me. We talked about it as a key to the game going into this 2-game series, how the Rockets don't have a lot of size. Damian Jones has an advantage in there. They should look to get him involved early on, and today they did. He started 4 of 4, 11 points, I think, in the first 10 minutes of the game or 13 minutes of the game, something like that. And the rebounds and the blocks were huge. Very, very big defensive stands there down at the end of the game in a close game. So, yeah, I got to give it to Damian, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. If this was fantasy basketball, you go and you add up everything in the stat sheet. Harrison Barnes only had 2 rebounds tonight as opposed to 17 for Jones. I know it's not all about stats, but his impact on the game was humongous. And not to mention the 6 blocks. And I saw someone here in the chat mention, and we were watching the game together, like he would have had 3 or 4 more blocks if they hadn't called any of those
fouls.
Yeah. So
and Ray, I see your comment here. I do think we need to give an honorable mention to DiVincenzo tonight because he played a fantastic game. He was all over the place, the rebounds, the steals, the blocks, critical defensive plays, and he hit the go-ahead shot there to eventually seal the deal for the Kings. So
I love it when DiVincenzo is playing well, man. It's so much fun to watch. It really is. And hey, real quick, to everybody that's watching right now, if you haven't subscribed to Basketball at the Bar yet, you need to go do it right now. I just put it here in the chat. We're doing all NBA coverage, the entire playoffs, starting April 11th. Click the link, open it in a new tab, of course, so you don't lose us, and subscribe to Basketball at the Bar. It's going to be a lot of fun. They changed to the Kings in 72. Yes, they did. Priest, I got a question for you. Do you know the first sponsor of the Sacramento Kings?
Man.
Or actually,
sorry,
it's
guys,
a trick.
My allergies are killing me today, so I apologize.
It's a trick question because they were not in Sacramento. But of the team, the very, very first sponsor, let me know if you know who it is. All right, Calvin, anything that really stuck out to you as far as team stats in this game? You know, the Kings shot much better from, field goals, about 10% better. Anything else that really stuck out for you?
Points in the paint is something I always look at with this team. When they get over 50 and they, win the points in the paint battle, they're usually in a position to win games. So that's always great. And the assists are big for me too. Nearly 30 assists. If the Kings get that number, their 3-point percentage goes up and they become a much, much more difficult team to play.
Gothan, you got a good hint in there, but I know where you're going with this, and this is actually pre-Crown Royal. So I'll see if you know, because not that many people do know. Yeah, I mean, I just got to go back to the win, Calvin. Kings win tonight. It feels good. We're officially 20 games below 500 now.
Yep, they're almost there. They're crawling their way back.
As Steven says, Kings got a chance to make the play-in tournament, and it feels so good. It does. I'm not expecting us to make it, but it feels good to at least have something to root for, because we're out right now, but we're still having fun. Lakers are up 3 right now with 4 minutes to go. Oh, man, that's a good beer, Calvin.
I don't see how the Kings could only be 2 games back. San Antonio won, and the Kings are 3.5 games behind them right now. So,
yeah, the Kings need to win out, and the Spurs need to lose out, and then we will be okay. What's up, Dennis? Good to see you there. 20 below 500 is so bad. It is. It is. And, it's funny because Calvin and I were talking about it earlier today, and I was like, Calvin, that this season, it's possible that 2 teams in the East could miss the playoffs or will miss the playoffs because they'll get eliminated from the play-in that are above 500. And in the West, 1, possibly 2 teams could make the playoffs below 500. That's crazy, man.
the tables have turned.
That is crazy. What are your thoughts on just best teams and not going conference-wise?
Just who are the best teams in the league right now?
Best 8 make the playoffs.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Despite conference or anything like that.
I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about that. My first reaction is that I don't like it because I don't know. Maybe I'm a traditionalist, I guess, but there's something to me about the conference rivalries. They change over time, but those playoff series, you think back to the Miami Heat and the Knicks in the 90s, or the Celtics and the Pistons, or the Bulls and the Pistons. You don't get those matchups as often if you just do the best 16 teams make it.
That's true. And I've heard the argument of, there's extra travel and all that stuff. But look at New Orleans. New Orleans is in the Western Conference, and they're pretty far east.
That's true. Memphis is in the Western Conference as well.
Yeah. So
they're pretty far east.
I don't know. I like the play-in idea, though. It brings a little bit more excitement to the game. All right, Calvin. What else we want to talk about in this game tonight? You know, we saw Davion Mitchell struggle early on, 3 of 13 from the field. We saw that turnover really late from him.
Yeah, he had a few bad turnovers
that
tonight.
looked really bad because
7 for the game, 7 turnovers.
Yeah, the Rockets go in to hit like, 2 or 3 threes. They cut the game. Luckily, the Kings were able to make some free throws. But I'll quote you, and Davion Mitchell looked like a rookie tonight.
He did look like a rookie tonight, and that's okay. I mean, you can have a game like this. The dude has been playing phenomenally as of late. And you think about how poorly compared to what we've seen from him recently he played.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at the game, he still had a double-double. He had 10 assists.
Yep.
He played really, really solid defense. We talked in the last game about him guarding Kevin Porter Jr. more one-on-one. They definitely did that to start this game, and then they switched him later onto Jalen Green towards the end because Jalen Green was on fire. So he still had his fingerprints all over this game, and he was very instrumental in getting the Kings a win. It was just a rough game, overall for him.
The play-in tournament used to be called regular season. Yeah, I mean,
that's very true.
That is very true. That is very true. I love how LeBron commented as soon as they started the play-in, and he's like, "This is BS," because they were in the play-in, you know. But yeah, I mean,
look, it dilutes the quality of talent in the playoffs, adding more teams.
It does, but it gives teams like Sacramento a chance,
does.
It's crazy when you miss the playoffs for 16 straight seasons.
And you still can't make it.
And they add they add 2 more spots, and you still can't do it, which is crazy. But, back on the topic of Davion Mitchell, this for me is a typical game of, it proves the point that it's not all about stats, right? And the stat sheet doesn't tell the entire story of the game. You look at the stat sheet, you're like, oh, he shot 3 of 13, only 11 points, 7 turnovers, and not the best game. And actually the eye test too, at certain points in the game, you're like, Davion is not feeling it tonight. But he controlled the pace of the game. He got his teammates involved, 10 assists. And he plays great defense. Like, no matter how well he's playing offensively or how bad he's playing offensively, he still brings the effort and energy on the defensive end of the floor, and it's contagious. And we see it, we just see it here on the team. Like, would the Kings have like 11 blocks tonight?
Yeah.
And Davion Mitchell has one of those blocks. He's like the shortest dude on the court. He's getting blocks. He's getting steals. We saw a bunch of these other guys. Like, defense is contagious. And I just love seeing Davion on the court put all his effort on the floor, and his teammates seem to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's why I'm so confident in Davion as a player, because I think he has a good offensive skill set that he's obviously developed more and more over the course of the season. And I expect that to continue, further on into his career. But when you come into the league, like you said earlier today, when you come into the league and you're already a phenomenal defender, that really changes the outlook on what you can do. It gives you more of a leash too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're supposed to be a 3-point specialist and you come into the league and you really struggle shooting from 3 your first year, that could have serious implications on what the rest of your career is going to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, there's always a chance to bounce back, but you get off to a bad start when you're supposed to be this great shooter. That really hinders your growth, your development. Whereas with Davion, people keep telling him it doesn't matter how much you miss. It doesn't matter how many shots you take. Just keep doing what you do well. We have confidence in you, and we know how much you can affect the game on the defensive end, so you're going to play regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Pelicans up by 2. Oh, I got to check in on this. Where are we at here? Oh, wow. It's a game. 2 minutes left. Pelicans up by 2. Good for us Kings fans, I guess.
I mean, realistically, it's actually a lose-lose for the Kings. If the Lakers win, that's just another game they're up on the Kings. If the Pelicans win, that means the play-in tournament is even farther away, So,
I mean, the Pelicans are in it. They need to leapfrog the Spurs if the Kings really want to make it.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, I don't know that, well, to me, it all comes down to San Antonio.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter what L.A. Well, it does matter.
If
they
LeBron
win out,
came back
if LeBron
today,
came out, and they won out, it would make a difference. But I feel as though San Antonio, it's their 10th spot to lose at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And, many of you probably saw today that LeBron announced he was out for the rest of the season. Do you guys think that's legit? It's April Fool's Day, so I want to know if you guys feel...
Sounds like an April Fool's joke to me.
...that he's joking or not, because he could very well miss the next few games and they're out. So it could not be. And that's the beauty of it, right? Is that he's good either way.
Right?
He's good either way.
Gotham, that was great. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Seagrams is the correct answer. Thank you, Gotham. And then Crown Royal took over, and that's why the Kings, or the Royals, took the name the Royals. Calvin, I really like that sweater you got on over there.
Thanks, man. It's my Sacktown Hero sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Which is, if you guys know Impound Comics.
Mm-hmm. Right across from Golden One?
Right across from Golden One Center. Go see our friend down there, Bryce, right? Is his name?
Bryce, yep.
Thank you. I was blanking on that for a second.
They just launched the trailer for the movie, and they're doing some crowdfunding right now. So make sure you guys check out Impound Comics if you want to see Sacramento's first and only superhero on the big screen. Go contribute. Go say hi to Bryce. Tell him Royal Rebound sent you. Imagine if the Kings make play-in tournament with a 33-49 record. Yeah.
You can imagine it all you want.
That is absolutely wild. I mean, as a Rockets fan, at least you got to experience some good basketball. You guys were in the Western Conference Finals just a few years ago. So, unfortunately, us Kings fans, it's been 20 years now, huh? Almost 20 years. No, 20 years. That's crazy. That is really crazy. All right, guys, we are going to take a quick break here. And when we return, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into your Sacramento Kings with Around the Crown. Welcome back. Just want to remind you all to please take care of your balls. The true definition of ballin' is having some nice, smooth, clean ones for your loved ones. And if you'd like to make that happen, just head on over to manscaped.com. Use the coupon code ROYALFAMILY, all capitals, one word, to get 20% off and free shipping. Don't worry, Calvin. She'll like it too.
She'll like it too.
All right, we're back. I just want to remind you all and everybody watching, if you have not done it already, you need to go subscribe to Basketball at the Bar. It's here in the chat. It is our second YouTube channel, premiering April 11th. We will be covering the play-in tournament. We will be covering the playoffs. We're going to do an episode 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. It's going to be live. It's going to be interactive, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys all subscribe and tune in for that. We would greatly appreciate it. And while you're there, you might as well subscribe to Royal Rebounds and hit like on this video as well. We would really, really appreciate it. Tell your lady she can have some walnuts with having to dig through the trees. Gotham, you're out of control. All right, Calvin, next subject here. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Officially out for the end of the year or no? You tell me.
Well, I don't see them coming back. I mean, everybody is pretty optimistic about this play-in tournament except for me. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, say the Kings fail to make the play-in tournament, which means you're not going to see De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis until the start of next season.
So, I just want to play a little fun game here. Imagine the Kings win on Sunday. They're at home Actually, their next 2 games are both at home.
Yep.
Against the Warriors and the Pelicans. Let's say the Kings win those 2 games. And whatever the Spurs need to do, they lose, whatever. You have
That's exactly what the Spurs need to do. They lose.
And you have 2 games left against the Clippers and the Suns, who the Suns lost tonight. They could potentially be resting some of their players, considering they have the best record in the NBA, and that will be their last game of the season. Are you rushing back Fox and Sabonis to win 2 games to make the play-in?
I don't know. That would be a tough call, I think, to make if you were a coach. But
good one, Dennis. You got it.
Yeah.
Correct answer.
I just don't. I don't see it happening. I don't think you're going to see either of those guys play.
Okay.
Number one, because I don't think the Kings are going to be in a position to make the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
But
we talked about it yesterday, on Locked On Kings, and that's what I told Matt. Is I was like, I think the season's over. I don't want to risk injuries, all this stuff. Let's just let them sit. We'll bring them back next year. We're gonna have a full training camp and all that. And he understood that, but at the same time, he was being kind of devil's advocate here, and he's like, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis have not played that many games together. Now you have an opportunity to put them out there and not care if you win or lose a game. All you're caring about is building chemistry. Does that have any validity to you?
I think it has some, but I also think you can build a lot of chemistry in a full off season together.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the Kings really think they have a shot at making the play-in tournament, why didn't they play today?
Yeah. I mean, he was taking the play-in out of it and just like, is it worth it to get a couple more extra games of them playing together? And, I don't know if this is his belief or not. Probably not. He was just trying to be devil's advocate and open up the other end of the conversation.
I don't see that benefiting you. Maybe it benefits you a very small amount, but it potentially has way worse consequences, right? Let's say Sabonis re-aggravates the knee or Fox hurts himself, re-injures his hand, does anything. Then I'm kind of being a hypocrite here because I talked a couple shows ago about how, you don't play.
People get injured in the shower.
But yes, people get injured in the shower. But the difference here is they've already shut these guys down. Like they've pretty much made it clear we're not going to play them the rest of the way unless we're in this thing. So why play them for the last 2 games of the year after they've already sat? How many games will De'Aaron Fox have sat at that point?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
And we don't even know if he's healthy enough to play right now.
Yeah.
Or either of them. Oh, Ray. Lakers lose, huh? Uh-oh, you're saying there's a chance.
It doesn't matter about the Lakers. It's all about San Antonio.
Okay. Part of me is just like, I know it's not good for our draft pick, but if we can pass the Lakers in the standings, even if neither of us make the play-in, if we can just one-up the Lakers in the standings, that might make me feel good.
It's one of the only Kings wins that we've been able to have.
I'm going to take a picture of it and put it on my background on my phone so I can look at it every day. Because it doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. All right, next subject. We got a lot of time today to just sit down and just talk about random basketball stuff and stuff with the Kings. And one of the things we talked about was Davion Mitchell versus De'Aaron Fox, right? I think we're both on the same page here, and we've talked 100+ times this season about nobody is really untradeable at this point. We're just trying to bring in more talent to this team. As long as you're bringing in more than you're sending out, or maybe the fit's better, or it's same talent but cheaper, more flexible, stuff like that. All these things that Monty has said that he prioritizes. Davion Mitchell didn't play very well tonight. comparatively to how he's played in the past few games, and every Kings fan has been like, Davion Mitchell has been playing amazing. Maybe he should be the starter, blah, 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 all this. Some people believe that Fox and Davion should start together. I don't think we're on that page, but where we're at right now, going into the offseason, if you had to trade one of those guys, who's it going to be?
It all depends on who I'm getting back. I mean, anytime you're talking about trading one of your two best players, if not your best player, and a up-and-coming, top 10 draft pick that's really come on late at the end of the year, you got to be getting a serious package back in return. So to me, it's more about who I'm getting in return than which one would I rather give up.
Yeah.
And Gotham, real quickly, you're right. They do have to win these last two games, but they've had to win the previous 5 games before that. So I just don't understand why you wait until there's 2 games left to decide now we need to play these guys.
I think the point that he's getting to is maybe they're not ready yet, but if there's 2 games left and you're like, okay, we have to win these 2, is it worth it to send a guy that's not fully healthy out there if you feel like he can help win the game?
My thought is that they're using these injuries. Sure, maybe they are hurt, but I think both of these guys are physically able to play right now.
Okay.
They're saying that they're out with injuries as an excuse to keep them sit on the bench.
If they were in the 7th or 8th seed right now,
Yeah.
they would be playing.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I agree with that. And, so back on Davion Mitchell and De'Aaron Fox, we talked about all these different packages, and, we can talk about every single player in the league, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen because we have no idea who's actually available, what it's going to take to get a guy like that. But we just talked about, let's say Monty chose Davion and that he was going to be the future on this team. Or not exactly that he chose Davion, but he's like, okay, I need to bring in more talent. Who's going to fetch me more in trade? Is it going to be Davion or is it going to be De'Aaron Fox? I think right now we agree that that's both De'Aaron Fox, right? Like,
that's true.
If it was Davion Mitchell and a draft pick and maybe a Harrison Barnes, maybe you could get more than a package for just De'Aaron Fox. But if it's just player for player, De'Aaron Fox has done it for longer. He makes more money, so it opens up the possibility of bringing in guys that make more money. One guy that you mentioned to me that you would trade De'Aaron Fox straight up for, do you remember who that was?
Anthony Davis?
No, he's on the Knicks.
Oh, I don't know if I said I would trade straight up for him.
Okay.
But Julius Randle is a possibility. I mean, he fits an area of need for the Kings.
He does.
He wants out of New York. The Knicks have been in a long search
Fox
for
is
point
back.
guards.
We just say trade Fox, right? And he just
appears.
magically appears.
Bam. So yeah, I don't know about a straight up trade, De'Aaron Fox for Julius Randle, but I think that's, if you are trying to trade Fox, we sat down a couple hours ago with Ethan and we were trying to go, okay, you trade Fox for these guys, do they do it? Most of the time we said no for the other team, right?
Yep.
This is one area where I think you might actually be on the right track. That the Knicks maybe don't want to trade Julius Randle, but he's going to force his way out, or that's kind of what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And they need a point guard.
And that was the toughest thing about that whole exercise, right? Is we were trying to find teams that need point guards. Because it's crazy, like Kemba Walker's on the Knicks. He's not playing.
Derrick Rose also not playing.
Derrick Rose is not playing. You look at the Rockets, like John Wall, like these are all point guards
Dennis Schroeder,
just
also
a few years ago were amazing point guards.
Yep.
And they're getting paid not to play right now, which is crazy. I think I chose the wrong line of work, Calvin, because I'll get paid to stay home and not work. That's fine.
Sounds great.
Sounds
like a pandemic.
I got a little taste of that in 2020, and John Wall's got it made, man. What do we go over his contracts today?
Aside from the fact that he hurt himself very seriously over and over again for a couple years. But I guess it's a small sacrifice to make.
He's almost made $300 million,
yeah.
dude. It is crazy. And he hasn't played a full season since, what did I say, 2016, 2017 season? That is absolutely wild. Have a good night, Gotham. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on Sunday, hopefully. All right, let's talk about Anthony Davis then. It's official. The Lakers suck. I mean, you could have said that a few weeks ago. But, we talked about LeBron. We talked about the Brian Windhorst article, which you guys should definitely check out if you haven't seen it. It's called Organizational Fatigue. It talks about basically like the business life cycle of a team or a championship contender. And having a guy like LeBron James just forces you into this, and maybe not a young LeBron James, but like a 25 and older LeBron James, just forces you into this win now mode where you're like, we have the greatest player. We need to win now. We need to make him happy. We need to bring in talent. We're trading our young guys. We're trading our draft picks. And you usually win a title. And then at the end of the 4 years, you end up with an old team full of guys that are old, injured. You don't have any draft picks. And that's where the Lakers are right now. We saw it happen in Cleveland. We saw it happen in Miami. We saw it happen in Cleveland twice.
Yeah. So,
guys have been talking about LeBron possibly leaving the Lakers. And, when Anthony Davis first got traded to LA, in my mind, I'm thinking, this is the next guy, right? Like LeBron is passing the torch to Anthony Davis. Maybe they're going to win 1 or 2 championships together with LeBron as the best player, and then Anthony Davis is going to become the best player and kind of ride out in the sunset, and LeBron's going to do his thing. That doesn't seem to be happening. And the reason I say that is, unfortunately, Anthony Davis has been dealing with a bunch of injuries. We know LeBron loves living in LA, but he could potentially move or leave the team. It could be in his best interest to move on. So if you're the Lakers, you're missing the playoffs this season. You have a lottery pick that's going to New Orleans for this guy, Anthony Davis, you traded. What did we say? The youngest guy on that team was THT at 21. Yeah. Other than that, you really don't have much. Like Malik Monk is there. Austin Reeves is there. Is the correct move for the Lakers to trade Anthony Davis if LeBron leaves? And 2, should the Kings be all in on a guy like AD? That's a long question. I'm sorry.
That is. No, that's okay. I think the Kings, I think the likelihood of them pulling off a deal for Anthony Davis is very, very low, but that doesn't mean you don't try. I think if the Kings were able to get Anthony Davis on their team, it would be a huge, huge win. So that being said, yeah, you should. I don't know about what going all in means for that, but they should try to get him. Now, looking at it from the Lakers standpoint, if I'm the Lakers, I'm not getting rid of Anthony Davis if LeBron is leaving.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the rest of that roster, you just mentioned how old they are. Carmelo's 37, LeBron's 37, Westbrook is 33. They got all these guys that have a ton of mileage.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis has been hurt a lot. I get that.
He's 29.
But if LeBron leaves and you trade Anthony Davis, you're probably going to get something good in return for Anthony Davis. But what are you going to be left with at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you decide to go all in and get a ton of draft picks like the Oklahoma City Thunder did and look to use those to make another trade or build through the draft, I don't see that. The Lakers don't make those moves. They're the Lakers. They get players to win now. And if you get rid of your 2 best players, you got a lot of work to do before you're ready to win now.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, after Kobe left, they went through the draft process, and they got, I want to say, 3 number 2 overall picks. They end up drafting, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, but that's at the end of Kobe's career. Anthony Davis is still in his prime.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how you rebuild around Anthony Davis. If you're the Lakers, you don't have any draft picks, you don't have salary cap space.
You're still the Lakers, though. You still have the ability to go out and sign free agents.
You're the Pelicans without Drew Holiday.
No, you're the Lakers that are, stumbling a bit. We saw them stumble a few years ago before they got LeBron, and how did that turn out? Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, in my mind, is a top 10 player, probably better than top 10 in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know LeBron isn't coming back, I don't want to get rid of another top 10 player who's in his prime.
Yeah. So let's say they disagree with you and they decide to move on from Anthony Davis. If you're the Kings, what's the most you're willing to give up?
I mean, I don't think it's what you're willing to give up. You're going to have to give up everything for him.
Trade Fox, we won tonight. Can't you see Peja's facing the camera? Good win. 2 in a row.
2-0. Or against the Rockets in the last 2 games.
Let's introduce the new show.
Yeah, so I just... You're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at them.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be crazy to think the Lakers would deal Anthony Davis and not get the maximum package they could get in return.
Yeah. I think it involves Sacramento winning the draft lottery, maybe even pick number 1.
No matter what the pick is, it's going to have to be included, I would think.
You're going to have to send multiple draft picks. You're going to have to send Davion Mitchell, Harrison Barnes, maybe Rashawn Holmes, whatever talent you have, because that's a lot of salary that Anthony Davis makes, 1, and 2, just to match the talent or get even close to matching talent. You know, a lot of people say in the NBA that you're never going to get equal value for like a superstar, right? But we've seen pretty close. We've seen, Jimmy Butler traded for a bunch of stuff. We saw him traded multiple times. Like, did Minnesota get equal value for Jimmy Butler? Like, probably not. Did Chicago? Probably not. But then you look at some of these other guys, like, did the Pelicans get equal value for Anthony Davis? Probably not, but they got a shitload of draft picks.
Hard to say, though, because Zion hasn't really played much.
Yeah. So that's really, really tough. But if I'm Sacramento, I'm definitely chasing Anthony Davis. Sorry, Sass. I know you don't want to hear that. But as Calvin said, healthy Anthony Davis is a top 10 player, maybe better in the NBA. And
he would fit alongside Sabonis really well.
And that was my next topic was we were touching on guys that would fit next to Sabonis. And who was the guy that I said would fit next to Sabonis the best?
Miles Turner.
Miles Turner. Oh, man, that is crazy. So I know we talked about it, but for everybody else here, just mention some guys that you think would fit really, really well next to Domantas Sabonis. I want to hear a couple just like unrealistic guys and just some realistic targets as well.
Well, I mean, unrealistic guys, my number 1 person I'd put next to him would be Giannis.
Yeah.
We're not getting Giannis, obviously. But in terms of people that you think are realistic or you actually might have a chance to get, I go back to Julius Randle. I think that guy who has really improved his outside game, is a real solid, legit power forward. I think he would work well next to Domantas Sabonis. I think John Collins is another. I don't know how well I like the fit, just because I think John Collins still has a long way to go in terms of his expanding his game further away from the basket. We all know how athletic he is and how great he is around the rim. But can he really be a consistent outside shooter?
Yep.
He's shown flashes of it, but he hasn't really convinced me of that yet. That being said, I still think John Collins would be an upgrade for this team. I would be willing to go get him depending on the price tag or whatever. Jeremy Grant's another guy to keep in mind. I know a lot of people don't like him because the idea is you're going to have to pay him right away, and the question is he just the best player on a bad team, or is he really a solid player that contributes to winning? I think Pascal Siakam, which I know people continue to bring up his name, is definitely somebody that I would be targeting.
Yeah.
That's the style of player, I think you need. You need a true starting power forward who has the ability to space the floor, and can get up and down athletic wise and run with some of these young, quick guards that they have, like Dante DiVincenzo and Davion Mitchell, and of course De'Aaron Fox.
Yep. Matthew, you didn't miss too much. Just a coupon code to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. If you're nice, maybe we'll let you know again. All right, everybody. I want to show you guys a cool video here. This is going to be a partial intro to the new channel, Basketball at the Bar, where we are covering the entire NBA starting April 11th for the playoffs. I'm going to post the link here for you guys to...
Yeah. Ball so hard, you better believe me, it's scary. It's basketball at the bar with Calvin and Barry. So put a tip in the jar, cause these dudes can really fill it up. Whether it's buckets you need or just a beer in a cup. We're here for fresh conversations and some delicious libations. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My boys got you covered like you being guarded by payers. From the glove to the claw and everyone else in between. Calvin and Barry got everything that you need. So sit back, relax, because we're starting the show. It's basketball at the bar. Grab your drinks and let's go. Yeah. Grab a drink and let's go. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Calvin and Barry. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Let's get it.
Let's go. And this is our new set. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to be a ton of fun. So make sure you guys hit that link in the chat and subscribe. Jonathan Isaac. I like Jonathan Isaac a lot. And real quick, if you guys like that song a lot, I got to give out a shout out to my guy Calvin here, a lyricologist. He can rap about anything. Shrink, shrink, blinkety blink, trying to make me think. Calvin wrote that song, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's not 2 Chainz. I think, what was that, 3 chains, 4 chains?
Yeah, 4 chains.
But he's got a few on?
He's got too many.
He's got too many. That's too many chains. But make sure you guys go and subscribe to that. What are your thoughts on Jonathan Isaac? I feel like I haven't seen that guy play
I like
in a
Jonathan
long
Isaac,
time.
but yeah, that's the thing. So he got hurt, a pretty serious injury, torn Achilles, and then after that he got like a $90 million contract.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen him since. So I like Jonathan Isaac as a player.
He's on that John Wall plan.
Yeah. I like Jonathan Isaac as a player, but the fact that they committed that much money to him when you haven't seen what he's going to look like coming back from an injury scares me a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that scares me a lot. I much would rather go with a guy like AD, injury AD, than a guy like Jonathan Isaac, because Isaac to me is a complete question mark. He's almost, what do you think, Zion or Jonathan Isaac? Which one's more of a question mark for you?
Wow. Probably Zion for me, because Jonathan Isaac didn't have any of the, we've heard Zion's weight is a problem and all this stuff since before he was even in the pros. His conditioning, all that stuff. Jonathan Isaac, you never heard any of that stuff with. He just unfortunately tore his Achilles and he's working his way back.
Yeah. It's wrapped by the conjoined twin. Barry keeps under his hat. Yep, I do. It's right under here. Can you guys get Lance Woods, the comedian, talking about Chris Rock and his Sacramento Kings?
No, but if you want to hear some jokes about Chris Rock and Will Smith, you should check out the Flagrant 2 podcast.
Oh, my God. If you want to hear horrible jokes that you're going to laugh at, but you're going to feel bad about yourself afterwards, go check it out.
It's a good laugh.
Speaking of which, like when we were talking about the Lakers, I'm like, okay, well, if they do trade Anthony Davis, what's one guy that potentially they would trade him for? And the guy that just popped in my head is like Damian Lillard, right? Like that guy seems perfect for the Lakers. Did you see his post after the Chris Rock, Will Smith thing?
I did not.
He said something about like a lot of people need that, and he's loyal like Will Smith is to his woman, and he's going to stay in Portland.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. Like, that's what he's said the whole time. So
let me see if I can find that link for you. Hold on one second. Your stage, Calvin.
Oh, man. You left me with Chris Rock and Will Smith, huh?
Oh, man.
Trade Fox, I see you in here all in on Bradley Beal, of course. Like, that's a no-brainer. If you have a chance to get Bradley Beal, you do it. I would say. I mean, I don't think there would be many GMs in the league that wouldn't take that opportunity.
All right, I got you guys right here. Check out that link I just sent. You got to watch it after the show because you cannot miss what we're about to talk about next. But it is hilarious. I've watched just the intro to that podcast like probably 10 times already.
It's pretty good.
And I still laugh. So that is hilarious. Guys, I'm sorry for my silliness. I'm just suffering Sacramento Kings. You guys won't. Yeah, I mean, I understand. I'm a suffering Kings fan too. And I got to talk about it in front of people after every single game. But, hey, we won tonight, so I'm happy. 2 in a row, Calvin,
Right.
against the Houston Rockets.
And I don't know how many picks it would take to get Bradley Beal.
I don't like people who
I
get
don't know.
violent on the excuse.
Probably
My
at
family
least
was
2, I would
attacked.
guess.
Is that what we're talking about, Bradley Beal?
I think we're talking about Will Smith still, unfortunately. But
Oh. How many picks did it take to get him? Is that
to
Bradley?
get Beal, I think. Yeah. I don't know.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It really depends.
I really do like Bradley Beal a lot. I feel like Bradley Beal is so underrated, man. Like, he was leading the league in scoring earlier this year, and
Yep.
not that that really means anything, but just like the loyalty that he's had to the Wizards, the guy is an amazing player, dude. He's a walking bucket, and he just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. And unfortunately, he keeps getting injured too, which, you know, is a theme that we're seeing over the past couple seasons. I don't know if it's like everyone that's sat out due to COVID and
Yeah, there's
and
a ton of people hurt.
it
right
kind
now.
of like messed up everybody's routine or what. But for me, it all depends on what happens on May 17th, the draft lottery. If the Kings get pick number 1, you don't have to give up as many first-round draft picks for a guy like Bradley Beal or Siakam or John Collins. But, you know, if they're at pick number 6, pick number 7,
That might change things.
you're going to have to give up a lot. And on that topic, Vinny, you can't show my screen, can you?
We can go back. No problem.
Yeah, let's go back. I want to do a little look here on the draft lottery simulator.
Anybody see Robert Covington tonight?
One of my favorite players.
43 points, 11 of 18 from 3.
One of my favorite players.
Wild.
Perfect
Guy took 18
3 and D.
threes.
Perfect 3 and D guy. 3 and D. That's all he does. That's all he does. All right, here we are. Updated standings here. Let's sim the lottery real quick and see where we're at. Uh-oh, that's not good. In this one, the Sacramento Kings get leapfrogged, and they are pick number 8. But don't worry, guys. The season is not over yet. The Kings currently have a 31.9% chance at a top 4 pick and a 7.5% chance at pick number 1. Which, Calvin, I have to say, I'm feeling pretty good about those odds because when we were in Vegas, I don't even know how many times I had 20. The dealer had 16 and hit an effing 5 and beat me. What are the odds on that?
Right? I don't know what the odds are. They're not very high.
It's not high, but they seem to get me. You know, guys, we just need the Kings to win one more draft lottery and not screw it up this time.
And by the way, the Kings have had a number 1 pick in Sacramento before. 1989, they selected Purvis Ellison. Number 1
Yep.
overall.
And how did that work out?
Didn't work out very well.
Oh, man. Well, you know, before we wrap up the show, I just want to remind you guys, I'm optimistic about the Sacramento Kings. Maybe not this season. You know, I'm still hopeful about the play-in. It's not very likely. It is not. I would be curious, what is a higher percentage of happening, the Kings getting the number 1 pick or the Kings actually making the playoffs or just the play-in tournament? But I just want to let you guys know I'm optimistic about this Kings team. You know, if you look at last season as opposed to this season, I know the records don't really show it, but I have to say that this Kings team has more talent on it ending this season than it did last season. It just does. I love everything that the front office has done. No, I would have not traded Halliburton if it was my choice, but I understand what Monty's doing with this. He's done everything that he said he's going to do. He said he's going to be patient when he needs to be. He's going to be aggressive when he needs to be. He's going to draft best available. He's going to stack assets, and he's going to go acquire players when he needs to do that. And that's exactly what he's done. He hasn't handicapped this team. He hasn't stuck them with any bad contracts. Like, the bummer about Richaun Holmes is that he's not playing now. But for his production, his contract is quite reasonable, and I don't think that the Kings will have any issues trading him this offseason unless his legal troubles, get bigger.
Yeah,
but
he's got a lot of other stuff to worry about right now.
But, we saw in the NFL, Deshaun Watson still ends up getting traded for multiple draft picks. And not that Richaun Holmes is a Deshaun Watson type player, but
It cost Deshaun Watson a year of his career, though.
That's true. But I'm just saying the value of Richaun Holmes on the court outweighs his contract, in my opinion. So I feel like we finally have a capable front office that's doing things the right way. We just, as a fan base, need to be a little bit more patient here. We all want to make the playoffs. We all want to win games now. We really do. But unfortunately, we've been handicapped. We've been set up in a bad position in the past, and it takes a while to get out of these. So I just want to spread a little bit of optimism here and let you guys know that I'm positive about next season. I do think the Kings will make the playoffs, and you can quote me on that. I do think the Kings will make the playoffs next season. I'm really excited for this offseason. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be action-packed. I think the Kings are actually going to make some moves here, and they actually have some assets to move around as well. So I just kind of wanted to end on being positive and excitement going into next season and this offseason, because it's all real and true for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the organization for this offseason. I mean, pressure from the playoff drought, pressure from not meeting expectations, pressure because, like you mentioned, they have some talented pieces on this team, so they should be better than where they're at. And there's potential for them to, possibly bring in another big-time player that's going to help this team win. So it is a very, very important offseason. That is 100% correct. And it's all going to come down to who's going to coach this team and what offseason moves are made after we know the results of the draft lottery. It's a make-or-break summer for this team.
It really is, and it's exciting. So I hope you all are excited. I hope you're all celebrating this win because we don't get them very often. I know this could be potentially meaningless or negative for you because of the draft implications, but a win is a win. Your Kings win tonight, 122-117 over the Houston Rockets. That's 2 wins in a row, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening. We will catch you all on Sunday post-game following the Kings match against the Golden State Warriors. If the Kings win, I'm going topless, Calvin, for the next podcast.
Hey, there you go.
I'm doing it.
You heard it
I'm
first.
doing it. All right, guys, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out Basketball at the Bar. Have a wonderful evening. And in the meantime, go Kings.
Yeah. Ball so hard, you better believe me, it's scary. It's basketball at the bar with Calvin and Barry. So put a tip in the jar, cause these dudes can really fill it up. Whether it's buckets you need or just a beer in a cup. We're here for fresh conversations and some delicious libations. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. My boys got you covered like you being guarded by payers. From the glove to the claw and everyone else in between. Calvin and Barry got everything that you need. So sit back, relax, because we're starting the show. It's basketball at the bar. Grab your drinks and let's go. Yeah. Grab a drink and let's go. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Calvin and Barry. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification. Let's get it.